Well, guys, welcome to part two. Um, we're gonna just pick up exactly where we left off yesterday. So let me open up Gemini, and we'll get right back into it. Okay, so we've done the stage one, the environment where the player stands, and stage two, the player who the player controls. Um, all right, so let's ask Gemini if we should move on to stages 3, and 4. So let me just copy that. Okay. All right. So let's modify this prompt. Would you say that stages 1 and 2 are complete? If so, let's move on to stage 3. Okay, so Gemini thinks stages 1 and 2 are officially complete. We have a physics reactive environment and a fully operational character that moves left and right and jumps on command. Let's move directly on into stage 3. The camera and constraints. This ensures the camera tracks the player smoothly across the map and stops right at the level borders instead of showing the blank space outside your layout. Okay, so step 1 is going to be set up the smart camera. So let's go back to Unity. And this is where we left off. So look at the hierarchy window on the left. Right click an empty space, hover over 2D object, and select Cinematic Camera, which I actually don't see under 2D objects anymore. So great, the first thing they suggest is not there. So okay, it's gonna be me venting to Gemini. Cinema Cinemachine Camera. Do I see that? Let's try again. Nope. I don't see this option. Okay, so we gotta install a package. Click on Window and select Package Manager, Package Management, Package Manager. Okay, and now I guess we gotta search for it. Um, Packages in project and change it to packages. Unity registry. So this guy. Okay. Type Cinemachine. Do that. Packages Cinemachine. and click on install. So let's wait for that to install. And I don't know how long this is going to take, so I'm going to pause. Right, and it's done. So now we have the Cinemachine installed. And let's see if we can go back to the hierarchy and to the object. Um, Hover over camera. Cinemachine. Okay, there we go. Cinemachine is its own option now. And select Cinemachine Camera. So there we go. I see Cinemachine Camera will appear in your hierarchy. So let's just rename it to what Gemini thinks it was going to be called, Cinema CM Camera 1. Just so we don't lose track of it. So look at the inspector window on the right, find the follow property. Follow property. Where is the follow property? It's always interesting when I can't find anything. um, and the inspector window on the right, find the follow property slot near the top of the component settings. I do not see a follow property. Drag your player game object directly into the follow slot. I guess it could be the tracking target, but we gotta ask Gemini what's going on. Okay. So let's reopen this. Find the follow property slot. So there is no follow property as far as I can see. Tracking target. Okay. That's what I suspected. And drag your player game object to there. I just hate it when. Oh, wait a second. Nope. I meant to do the player. I just hate it when it confidently gives you instructions that are outdated, and they just keep changing things too much, in my opinion. Just keep things static for a little while longer. Um, okay. Drag your player game object to the tracking target slot, so we've just done that. Adjusting the camera behavior. Right now, the camera will snap instantly to the player because the movement tracking. What is going on? Why? Where are my players and everything? Did we lose? Where did everything go? Um, from the screen. Did I wonder when it got messed up? I didn't even notice. Hopefully we'll figure it out. Find the property, tracking target. Okay, done. Right now, the camera will snap instantly to the player because the movement tracking modules are not active yet. Let's make it smooth. So look further down the component to the procedural components section. Okay. Click on the drop down next to position control, which currently says none, so position control. Change it to position predictor or pan tilt. I don't see either of those options. This is so much fun to work with, right? Nothing that it tells me to do exists. Click the drop down next to position control and let's just these options do not exist. Yeah, this is just really frustrating. Just got started and nothing it tells me to do. Select follow from the menu. Okay. So let's just follow these instructions. Position control, follow. Okay, and our thing is back in the screen. Look for the target offset for or screen XY. Follow offset. I guess it's talking about follow offset. XY property. Within that newly opened section to adjust the player's positioning on the screen. Adjust the damping sliders. X and Y to control how loosely or tightly the camera lags behind your player's jumps and runs. Yeah, okay, it just assumes I know things, I guess, because I'm not following what you're telling me to do here. Look for the target offset or screen X, Y properties within the newly opened section to adjust the player's positioning on the screen. I'll just tell it exactly how I feel. Not sure what these could be. Don't assume I know things. Um, yeah, same problem. Recommend things. I don't know what to set this to, but I suppose I want the camera to be fairly reactive instead of lagging behind. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me grab a screenshot as well for Gemini to know what the current values are. And let me just edit this prompt and add that picture in there. Yes, I cannot add pictures in there, which is great. All right, great. So redoing the same prompt since I forgot to add a screenshot of Unity. Oh my God, dude, this is terrible. Okay. Okay, so here's what it told me to do. Okay. Cool. Position damping. So the reactivity, change the position damping values from their default 1 to 2. One setting to make the camera track you instantly without micro stutters. So change X to 0.1. 0.1. This makes horizontal movement follow your runs instantly. Change Y to 0.2. This softens vertical stutter slightly during jumps while keeping you in full view. Leave Z at 1 since this is a 2D game, your player won't move on the Z axis anyway. So follow offset. Leave X at 0 keeps the player centered horizontally. Change Y to 1.5. This pushes the camera slightly upward, placing your player in the lower third of the mobile screen so you can see upcoming platforms and hazards clearly. And crucial, leave Z at -10. Do not change this to 0. In 2D games, the camera must sit physically backward in 3D space to look at the flat 2D plane. If this becomes 0, the camera will go blind inside the player sprite. So we don't want that. Go ahead and type those numbers in. Once they're set, let me know, and we'll finish stage 3 by creating invisible boundary walls to lock the camera inside your level map. Okay, so I am pretty much done. Let's go back to Gemini. Am I saying it right? Is it Gemini or Gemini or something else? Okay. All right, so give me a bunch of instructions over there that it didn't even provide at the beginning. So um, yeah, that's always fun. Okay, so just to make sure we are not losing track of anything. So are we done with step 1, and should we move on to steps 2 and 3? Step 1 is completely finished. Camera tracking target, damping, and framing offsets are fully dialed in. So let's move on to step 2. Create the level boundaries. Look at the hierarchy window on the left and right click on empty space and select create empty. Name this new object camera bounds. Okay. With camera bounds selected, look at the inspector window and right click add component. Click add component. Now we're going to add Polygon Collider 2D. And the Polygon Collider 2D component settings. Check the box for is trigger. Okay. This prevents the box from acting like a giant brick wall that stops the player from moving. Okay. Look at the top center of your Unity screen and click the Scene tab. All right. On the Polygon Collider 2D component in the inspector, click the Edit Collider button. Edit Collider button. It looks like a small grid icon with 3 green edges. So this guy, Edit Collider. What is going on? Edit Collider button. It looks like a small green button, a small green icon with 3 with green edges. So do we just click on this? No. Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. Look at your scene view. Your mouse will now interact with the green um, outline box and click and drag the square corner point to stretch the shape into a large rectangle that perfectly Encloses your levels, painted tiles. Perfectly encloses your levels, painted tiles. So I guess how would I do that? Would I go like this? And this? Can I just, okay, very interesting. I don't even know. Don't even know how it wants me to do this, but I'll try. Hey, what the hell? This can't be right. I feel like I'm not doing this correctly. Now let me try one more time and see what it has to say once I just do like a very rough outline of the whole thing. Uh, Ooh, let me just grab a screenshot. 'Cause this seems messy. There has to be a better way to do this. Not exactly sure what you want me to do on this step, but I am attaching a screenshot of what I have done. Help me understand what you meant. Let's see. Wrapping around your floor tile of the scene view that is your physical camera. The only issue is the boundary is missing the upper half of your level because the box cuts off at the top of the white block. So if your player jumps, the camera will be completely forbidden to move upward. So we want this green box to act like a giant frame around the entire playable area. Okay. Including the empty space above the platforms where the player will be jumping. So, okay. 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 I get it. Um, Alright, let's get back into it. Left click and hold the top left corner point of the green box and drag it straight up into the air, roughly level with the top of the large white rectangular camera frame outline. Okay. Alright. So right here, roughly. It said roughly, I don't have to be perfect. So okay. I'll make it roughly. Same. And this right here, roughly. right corner and drag it straight up to the air to match the left side. Okay. And like this. And like that. Here. I don't even know. But whatever. I just want this to be like one thing, not so many things. Okay. Okay. So this is what I've got so far. Yeah. Um. Cool. Yeah. This seems like it can be as good as they will get with manual clicks and drags. So just addressing one, adjust the shape. Let me know if it looks good. It is definitely not a perfect rectangle by any means. Okay, cool. So lock it onto the camera. Let's move on to that step. And by that I mean this guy. Oh, this is stage 3. Okay, so let's just follow this. So click back on your camera object. Scroll down to the bottom of the inspector on the right and look for add extension. Drop down. Okay. Select Cinemachine Confiner 2D. Cinemachine Confiner 2D. A new Cinemachine Confiner 2D section will appear immediately. Find the empty slot labeled Bounding Shape 2D. Bounding Shape 2D. Drag your camera bounds game object into the hierarchy and drop it directly over here. So let's grab it right there. All right. Now test the setup. So we'll do this part. Switch back to your game view and hit the play button at the top of your screen. Run your player left and right. The camera will move smoothly with you, but notice how it stops panning entirely as you approach the far left or the far right edges of your layout. Will no longer show the empty blue void beyond your map grid. Okay, cool. But before we do that, is it possible for me? Um, you know what? I'll worry about it later. Let's just see what happens when I click play. Ah, look at that. Nice. Very cool. All right. Okay, so now We have verified that the camera tracks the capsule smoothly but halts right at the edges of the green perimeter. So I have verified that the camera tracks capsule smoothly but halts of my new green perimeter. Let's move on to stage 4. Ooh, so that confirms stage 3 is fully operational. Now let's move right into stage 4, win-lose conditions. To make level 1 an actual game, we need two things. Pitfall hazard. Okay, not that much, right? We need two things. A pitfall hazard that resets the player if they fall, that means lose, and a goal line that completes the level when reached, win. So before we do these steps, we gotta do these steps. How can I, could you remind me how I can add or remove some tiles from the floor? The pits are only one tile in width, so the capsule doesn't fall through. And just address this part only because it tends to add in extra instructions. So just address this part. All right, let's erase some tiles. So click on the tile palette tab on the right side of your screen. It is grouped next to your inspector tab, so tile palette. Okay. Look at the toolbar at the very top. I guess we got to go back to the scene view. Look at the toolbar, erase. There's this erase tool. This has to be it. Looks like an eraser. Um, hey, cool. Easy enough. Let's do this one. And maybe go back to your tile palette, click the paint. So this time adding some tiles, click the paintbrush icon. And let's add some tiles right here. Okay, go back to game view. Wait, guess I guess I had to stop running the game before I did all that. So let's make some modifications. Okay, save. And now let's try again. Cool. So this time it is a bit of a challenge to go to go over the things, and we do manage to drop down. Fun stuff. Okay, so now let's get back to following these instructions. So, all hazard that resets the player if they fall, and a goal line that completes the level when reached. So let's go over part 1, the loose condition. Instead of building complex death scripts for every single pit, we'll create a giant invisible kill zone box underneath your map. If the player falls off a platform, they hit the zone and instantly restart the level. So smart. Let's follow these instructions. So right click on empty space in the hierarchy and select create empty and name this object kill zone. Kill zone, let's try again. Okay, kill zone. Kill zone selected, click add component in the inspector. And we're gonna add a box collider 2D. Ooh, let's undo box collider 2D. Check the box for is trigger. This turns it into a sensor area rather than a solid wall. Switch to your scene view tab. Okay. Click the move tool. Select the move tool. Move. All right. Yeah, drag the kill zone object down so it sits completely underneath the gap you've painted in your floor tiles. So wait, where is the kill zone? Okay, this guy. We got the move tool selected, and you need to grab it and place it right here, maybe. Okay, completely underneath. So I don't know if the square right here is the object, or if it's this guy, or if it's this guy. But whatever, we're gonna assume that it's this square right here. Okay, yeah, it is that square. So all right, so look at the box collider 2D component in the inspector and adjust the size X field to something large like 50 or 100 so it stretches underneath your entire level. So let's do 100 now. That's too much. 50. Cool. So why are you not moving? Kill zone. Even 50 is too large. Let's do like 25. Okay. Or I'll go. I'll be generous. I'll do 35. So should we go with the Gemini recommendation of 100? That's too much in my opinion. Okay. So let's stick with 35 for now. Now we're gonna move on to step 2. So we're gonna create the hazard script, and we'll follow all these steps. Okay. Everything. So let's do that. Open your scripts folder and right click, create scripting, empty C# script. And exactly hazard. Okay. Open it up. And we're just going to copy the code that Gemini gave us. So let's see what's going on. If collision, so we're checking if the object entering the trigger is the player. If collision.compare tag is player, reload the current active scene to restart the level. So scene manager dot load scene manager get active scene dot name. Okay, so save this, get back into Unity, wait for it to compile the code. All right, save the file, switch back to Unity, drag your hazard script and drop it right onto kill zone object in the hierarchy. So how do I do that? Just drop it right onto, okay, does it just pick it up just like that? Ah, yes it does. I might have done that yesterday, so. Crucial step, click on your player object in the hierarchy. Look at the very top of its inspector window, click the tag drop down menu and click player. And if you remember the code, that's how we know that it's the player that's hitting the kill zone. Okay. So let's test it out. Hit play, walk into the pit, and your scene should immediately reload, placing you right back at the start. Let me know. Okay, so let's get back into it. And go to the pit. Ooh, look at that. You know what? The hazard needs to be the kill zone needs to be lower in my opinion, so the capsule can fall. I'm sure we're gonna modify things later, but yeah, there we go. How cool. Yeah, that is pretty awesome. Okay, how long has this video been going for? 42 minutes so far. So I think, should we wrap up? I think that's enough for today. So let's wrap up and we'll pick up tomorrow. All right. See you guys tomorrow.